Hello, this is a German Steinway Model O grand piano made in 1907. It's 180 centimetres long and it's in my home. I haven't promoted it before, but now I've got another piano to come to my home where the hammers need playing in. That's a Richard Lipp grand. So I haven't promoted this at all, but someone's taken an interest in it too. So they've asked me to make a video. Just looking at the case first, it's pretty perfect. Not 100% perfect, but pretty perfect. It's been repolished. We sold this in 2006 and we've got it back in. The owners had to move out and can't accommodate the piano in the new place. So I can't show you the long side. I'm so sorry about that, but I think it's as immaculate, and I'll verify that and put a comment on underneath the video just to make sure that that is perfect. So casework wise, let's have a look at the legs too. So very integral too. The colour is very integral indeed. I can't remember if we repolished this piano. It doesn't look like our polish. I might be wrong. We tend to do more of a slightly different polish to that, but it is very high quality. So very pleased with that. The music desk is also pretty perfect. There's no fading, even the fall, if you look at it like that. So we've mentioned many times before, this does fade if it's been kept, say, open or closed all the time. Then there'll be different colour. So you have got a piano, then vary it so that it doesn't devalue by having, or obviously not just devalue, but it doesn't look so good if the colours aren't integral. There's the top lid folded back again, pretty perfect. There's a Steinway key there. It's not a Steinway key, I don't think. It's just a typical grand piano key, and they fit. Most keys are similar on grand pianos. Now I've designed this so we can't fold the lid right back down. It's propped up by the books, as you can see, bookcase, and that's deliberate so that if people come in, they don't have to have this jagged edge to bump into, because we have a sofa bed there. So if we do have guests here, then very rare that we do nowadays, but it does happen now and again. So this is an integral colour as well. So very pleasing indeed. Now, I think this is mahogany. I originally described it as rosewood, but I don't think that's correct. So we'll call it mahogany, but I've asked Steinway as well to see if they can tell us, if they know anything more about this piano, what the original finish was. I've got it raised up by about half a centimetre on these caster cups here. And it's 60.5, the legroom, without that. So it's 61 with that, and it's exactly right for my legs. But the pedals are also very low. That's 5.3 as it is now, probably less than 5, which is very, very low for pedals. I often talk about these because with lockdown, it's important that when people come in to try them, they realise they want the pedals a different height. So it's something I'm trying to remember to do, to let people know about that. But so the pedals, they haven't been too worn either, so not too much signs of wear on that. So that means you could raise the casters up on these glass caster cups. It's 2.5 or a bit more than 2.5 centimetres higher. And it won't be a problem. The pedals won't be too high. That's an issue I've often talked about because I don't want to forget to let you know. It's got a very attractive piano stool to go with it. High quality concert style with dovetail joints. So that's also, there's a little mark there. We'd obviously get rid of that, and anything on the piano we'll try and improve as well. Now the tuning pins are tight, not as tight as new tuning pins would be. So restringing this piano is a possibility, but there's absolutely no need in the sense that it's holding, it's tuning well. But you must be careful to look after it. If we do restring the piano, they'll be tight like new tuning pins, obviously. This is an issue with older pianos. If they've been tuned a lot, that does tend to loosen them. If you're a tuner, by the way, we try to favour raising it a couple of beats above concert pitch and letting it gradually fall in, rather than always be turning the tuning pins, which from over a long period of time will loosen them. So they are tight at the moment. There's the serial number there. Now you might notice the frame's got little specks where it's obviously maybe tuners have touched there, and it doesn't take much to chip the paint slightly. So there's quite a lot of paint chips, especially where the tuning pins are. Not round here, which would indicate it was restrung without the piano frame being resprayed, but here where it looks like things have been put down on it. So that's an issue, which obviously devalues the piano. If we restrung the piano, we would obviously redo the frame as well, and we'd check the soundboard, which doesn't seem to have any single split or crack or anything of the kind. Maybe over here we can just see something right in the corner there. So let's turn the light on. So right in the edge here, it's basically the planks of wood. They always do tend to open up, so you end up with lines. And there's nothing to worry about. We've mentioned this many times. I'd love the trade to comment and verify the fact that that's absolutely no effect on the tone whatsoever, because it's so important. Because they used to say that any splits in the soundboard are serious, but they're not at all serious. We talked about this. I've talked recently quite a lot because it's important, I think, to get that information out. Had one string replaced at some stage, maybe when we sold it last time in 2006. So looking at the soundboard underneath, the tone is carried by the ribs, and the soundboard's going in that direction. So there's a little mark like that, which is what we saw on the top, doesn't affect the tone at all. It could be loose and cause buzzing here, but that's obviously, we were guaranteeing the piano for a long time anyway, so we deal with that, but that's not the case. Anyway, it's well anchored, so shouldn't be a problem. All the way down here we can see that the whole of the soundboard is in good condition on the underside of the piano too. Just a point of interest here, Steinway legs are held on by this cleat here, and so are the pedals held on by in a similar fashion. So there's the front of the pedals, and also held on by this cleat. It's got to be very tight and put in with a mallet, so it's really tight. It can be a problem sometimes on some Steinways. Obviously we're used to that, and these are pushed in and held in with this cleat here, so it's different from other pedals that are screwed on from underneath. While we're inside the piano, I meant to show you the date. If you're not aware of it, some people don't realise that the date on a lot of Steinways is at the back here. If you're in the trade, you know which age they stopped doing this, because this was done right in the 1880s, 1870s, I think. And this is obviously the month. This is actually a frame casting date, which is amazing. I think that says 6 or 9, 8, 07, 1907. I've got to show you the keys, which are ivory and in very good condition. They're a little bit yellowed, as you can see. We could scrape and polish them, but I think it's pretty integral with the colour of the piano anyway, and integral with the age of the piano. So obviously if we're exporting, we often have to replace ivory, so that's something we often do. Have a look at the hammers. It has been used a reasonable amount since 2006, so it's quite mellow sounding. We can obviously reface or replace these hammers, but they do sound rather special, I think. So I'm not inclined to necessarily do that unless you want a brighter sounding piano. I've tried a bit of refacing on here. It doesn't make a huge difference actually, so I suspect that changing the hammers would be the answer. If the hammers are too soft, you can reface them and they still don't really produce the brightness that you expected them to. So this is a mellow sounding Steinway, beautiful. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. So this is the worksheet I made today. Haven't done any work on it apart from tuning since it's been in. It is very good. I think we've done minor regulation possibly, but I've just checked the regulation. You can see the checks. So we do this nowadays to make sure we don't forget anything. And you can see pitch is slightly flat, but not very much. So that needs pitch raising, which we normally take up to 442 unless the client wants 440, and then it will drop down gradually and mean we don't have to keep turning the tuning pins, as I mentioned earlier. Legroom 60.5, pedals 5, so it's very low pedals, which is encouraging. Possibly brighten the top treble I've got down here. So refacing would brighten it slightly, but replacing the hammers if you really want to brighten the tone, it's the only way to go, I think. Lubrication, yes, it needs lubricating. There's key weight adjustment here and there, so I've been playing it, not noticing it terribly, but if you want to play very softly, then you notice the difference between a 58 gram down weight and a 50 gram down weight. The up weight I didn't write down here. I'll just put it on now. So Steinways very often have very low up weight, and good grand pianos tend to. We've mentioned this before. That's a 16 gram weight, and if I left my finger off immediately, then it will go up, so it's more than 16 grams. I'd be interested to know how the trade generally measures weighting, up weights, because there's no information out there on measuring up weights. It's something we've always done ourselves, how we've decided to do it. So that's clearly more than 16 grams. Up weight is the maximum weight you put on and it still comes up. So that's 16 plus 20 grams now, and that's coming up at 20 grams. Let's put a 2 on it as well. Let's try 22. So low up weight, 20 grams, is sort of ideal, 20 to 25 grams. So it seems to be, if anything, slightly low. If it's too low, then the hammers obviously won't return properly. So it's got to be 20 grams or so. But this is all working properly. That's obviously too heavy for those. So let's put the 16, and that's too light for the 16. So I won't go on too long about this, but if you're in the trade, hopefully you take some interest and help us to know what you would do. So 16 grams is coming up nicely. Let's put an extra gram on here. 17 grams is coming up, and put 18 grams on, see what happens. Just about. So, but it's beginning to not come up. So that's how we measure it. But I'm interested to know what opinions there are in the trade on that, and whether you do measure up weight, because it's so crucial. It makes this piano feel so nice if it's got low up weight. So I've written 20 grams for the up weight here, which is probably 19 grams actually. But the main thing is it's low, which is making it feel really good. If you have digital piano, very often the up weight is very high. You might like to measure it on your piano. You can find coins usually that you can look at the weights of coins and put them on instead. So there we are. That's the summary of the piano again. So there is possibility of brightening the top treble. We could change the hammers, we could restring the piano, but the price obviously reflects, and I've tried to keep the price, well, don't really want to change it because it's such a nice sounding piano. So I'm not going to talk over the playing, although I think I'll just play the tone before I sit down and play the piano to get an idea of it. Mid treble and the tenor area. Really sings.
you.